welcome to the Herzog Leadership Series. My name is Riley Stapleton, and today I'm joined by Derek Bell, Vice President of Business Operations for HRSI. Derek, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Riley.
All right, so if we just want to jump right into it, I would love to just hear kind of about the story of your career, early on, education, getting to Herzog and...
Yeah, so early on, born and raised just outside of Kansas City, grew up on a farm out there with my parents. Later on, went to college, Central Missouri State at that time, and then got into Ford Motor Company was the first career I had. It was more on the construction side of the business, and then got into more of the operations and the manufacturing side where they made the F-150 and the Escapes in Claycoma, Missouri. After about 9 years there, went on to Kansas City Power and Light, which is now known as Evergy, and spent 15 years in our in the power plants, the transmission distribution side of the world. And then in 2022, was blessed to be able to become a part of Herzog and the family here. So.
And what do you think has kind of enabled your rise through your career and through Herzog?
So when it comes to the journey of what my career has been so far and the rise through the company, it's really been about relationships and really keeping things as simple as possible. So part of that comes down to understanding, making sure that the right people in the right settings, the right meetings, understand what problem we're even trying to solve, and just keeping things as simple as possible. But in order to do that, having relationships with people is a primary focus that I've always had.
Yeah. I guess you've kind of touched on it with relationships, but are there any other values or beliefs that you think have attributed to your success?
Yeah, a couple that come to mind are just honesty, integrity. Going back to part of our culture here is doing the right thing when no one's looking. So I also think about respect and humility. As I've gone through my professional career, I've gotten comfortable being uncomfortable, which is a part of that. It's the newness of learning and everything, but a couple of those values come to my mind.
Mm-hmm. And on a more technical side, do you think you have any innate skills or abilities that have helped you?
Yeah, one of the simplest ones that all of us can do is just listening, right? Listen to understand what we're trying to accomplish, what the goal is, and then really kind of putting some strategy behind, what we're trying to accomplish, whether it's the day, the week, the year, or the overall, mission of a project.
Mm. And what do you find to be the most difficult part of being a leader in your position?
The most difficult part is time management. It's balancing what to be involved with, when you need to be involved. With a lot of things, again, embracing change as a servant leadership, it's part of just understanding where you need to be, what you need to be involved with, and then what your teams are empowered to do.
So one thing when you were talking about some of the beliefs that you have, you mentioned honesty, humility, and then willing to make yourself uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. A lot of times that can lead to failure, which isn't as harsh of a word as I think some of us make it out to be,
sure,
but it's just part of the process.
Yep.
So can you talk to me about a time that maybe you made a mistake, you failed, but you really felt like it was a learning moment that made you better?
Yeah, quite honestly, there's been many. And that's how you get to success is you have to go through failure moments. And not one specifically, but one of the things I think about of some of the opportunities that I've had to always get better about is when we get to making decisions. A lot of that's around making sure the right people are involved in those discussions, and furthermore, making sure that approval and decisions are made at the right level. So there have been times to where didn't think it through, also didn't understand the impacts of some of these decisions and the approval that we did, that it impacted others, even though the situation currently didn't actually have anything to do with them, but there was a trickle-down effect. So those are some of the moments I've had that have I've learned a lot from, and so I try to be very cautious about that going forward, is making sure that we have the right people in the room to help make decisions, and then also from an approval standpoint, we're getting those decisions up to the right individuals to help make those decisions or approve them.
And on the flip side of that, of failure, there's always going to be a lot of successes, and those can be motivating. Currently, at this point in your career, what is continuing to motivate you to pursue excellence?
For me in my career and being here at Herzog, it's about having a perpetual Herzog. It really is. Wake up every day, bring the best version of myself, lead in the areas that I need to, get involved and help resolve those problems. But I look forward to a perpetual Herzog, and that's where my main focus goes every day. That's something that I can impact, every employee can impact. We impact our customers, but I always have on top of my mind is a perpetual Herzog.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like with, perpetual Herzog, even in leadership positions, there's still points where you kind of have to be a perpetual student.
Sure.
So can you just talk to me about, at this point in your career, what it means to just kind of have that continual learning mindset?
Yeah, I get poked at a little bit for asking a lot of questions, and part of that is I'm willing to learn. I'm not always, a majority of the time, I'm not the subject matter expert in the room, but I think that willingness to just continue to ask questions, engage, also be in the field. There's a lot of things that you can learn that you can't understand from an email, from a book, from a diagram. In that field time and that field presence is very important as a leader and as an employee too, just to understand the overall business.
Mm-hmm. And after doing a few of these interviews, I've noticed, I feel like a lot of people say that, like you said, you're not the matter expert in the room. And so I feel like I'm kind of starting to understand that being a leader isn't about knowing everything.
Yeah.
It's more about, like you said, relationships and people. Is that how you see it? That's
absolutely how I see it. And then again, we learn something new every day. And we're better for that. And part of that is just making sure that you're making those relationships, you're listening to what people have to say as you do ask many questions, and taking that all in. And based on that, it might lead to more discussions. But that's how it's worked for me.
Mm-hmm. All right. So finally, if there was someone watching this video that wanted to be in your shoes one day, what is one piece of advice that you would give them?
Keep it simple. Just understand that you're trying to lead people. You're trying to solve problems. Have empathy for folks, right? There's always a lot of tradition of how we got here. It's a good thing to understand that. If there is a course change that we need to do something different, let's understand the why of why we need to do that, and let's explain that based on those decisions and those approvals that we go through. That's basically what I would say to somebody today is keep things simple, continue to be open-minded,